Well, you've brought the voice to Nashville, and I understand this is a field trip. So are you like the chaperone?
No.
Yeah, are
No,
you in
they're
charge,
on their own. They are
in charge
on
of
their
these
own.
kids?
Hell no, they're on their own. There's no minors on my team this year, so they can take care of themselves.
How did you become a member of the team, the very first team? How did that opportunity with NBC come to you?
You know, I've heard different versions of this, and now that the show's a hit, several people claim credit for it. But if I'm not mistaken, they wanted Reba to be a coach on The Voice first. I hope I'm not saying something I shouldn't say. It's out there now, but they wanted Reba, and they knew they wanted a country artist to be a coach on The Voice to fill that lane, and so they called Starstruck, and Reba at the time, you know, for whatever reason, I can't remember. She may have had her Malibu country show going at the time. For whatever reason, she couldn't do it, or they just decided it wasn't the thing for her at the time. What is The Voice? It sounds dumb, right? Like, I don't know. I'm Reba McEntire. I hit in this chair and I hit a button and my chair turns around. Like it sounded weird to probably anybody they pitched it to, honestly. But so Narvel told them, you know, Reba's can't do it, you know. But hey, I got this other guy that I manage that's got all the time in the world. You know, it's like And I had done a show for NBC a couple of years before called Clash of the Choirs. It was just a 1-week seasonal thing that was a thing where I was a coach for a choir there, and it was fun. And so they knew just enough about me that they just rolled the dice and said, okay, well, we'll try him, you know. And at the time, I think Hillbilly Bone had been a hit, and one other song, and so I was on the radio, so it was enough justification there for he could be the country representative, and that's just kind of how it went down. And I had never met Adam. I had obviously never met Christina Aguilera. I wasn't even sure. Somebody had to remind me that CeeLo was the guy that sang with the Muppets on the Grammys. You know, I was like, oh, that guy! Holy cow, yeah. So it was just it was magical the way it all happened, you know.
So the team, with the departure of Adam, and the bromance was over.
It goes on. It just
yes, it did.
Not for the cameras.
Yeah, and,
not for the cameras anymore.
Then let's talk about the relationship you have with the new team. You got Kelly Clarkson, and you got the sexiest man alive.
Mm-hmm. Me.
In 2017.
Oh, okay, yeah. That went over great, didn't it?
In 2019, you had to pass the crown over to John Legend, and of course, the love of your life, Gwen Stefani. How does that quartet work together? When you're on camera, we know, but what does it feel like?
It's like that off camera too. You know, it's the first group we've ever had that exactly what you see on camera is how it is off camera. We're just having a blast, you know. And
I'm thinking about Darius Rucker and Taylor Swift and their involvement, because that was huge this year too.
Yeah, I've known Darius for obviously since he came into the country music world, you know, just crossed paths so many times, and I literally love that guy. He's just a great person, and the reason I thought he would be a great mentor is because he's been successful in 3 or 4 different ways, and he's been a pop or rock, whatever you call it, superstar, one of the biggest selling of all time. He was in a group, then he went solo. He went solo into a completely different genre, had success there. He's written all these hits, and so he just had so much he could bring to the table as far as experience and knowledge.
And now he's got the band back together.
Now he's got the band back together again. He just keeps finding ways to get richer and richer, you know. So I just thought he would be great just because he's pretty much seen it and done it all at this point, you know. And he was, you know, great to have. And of course Taylor, she's just a different level of knowledge, and she's just so smart. That's the thing that you know, we all know how talented Taylor is. But I think 50% of her success is also combining her talent with just literally how smart she is. And I love, every time I'm around her, I love just kind of soaking it in and listening to her talk, and how she always, has something to say, or a way of looking at something that I never have, thought that way. And so people are always a little bit blown away when she comes on the show is from that side of it, because once you get past the it's Taylor Swift, then you're even more impressed by her once you just can get that out of the way and then just kind of soak in who she is.
So
it's too bad she's so ugly.
So you get into the top 13. Now we're doing live shows and knockout rounds. How does that differ from taping the shows when you get to this stage of the game for you and for the artist?
I like these live shows a lot better, and for one very selfish reason, because I don't like to be the one who is eliminating people from the show. I've said it from the beginning. I hate that part of my job. I literally despise it. I don't want it to be in my hands. And so when we finally get to the lives, it still hurts as bad to see somebody go home, but at least you don't feel as directly responsible for it. Of course, it always falls back on us a little bit when somebody goes home or their coach, but and it's just exciting. It's exciting to see somebody move the dial. You know what I mean? And so every night when somebody performs in the live shows, the first thing we all as coaches do is look at iTunes and see who's blowing up, and it's like, oh man, they didn't even chart. I thought that was great, or they're number one. That's exciting to see it in motion. Because that's when you know if you're connecting or not.
Is there one particular person that you think back on your years on The Voice that stands out that you said goodbye to?
Oh, that I said goodbye to?
Yeah.
Well, Ray Lynn, I think, still pretty pissed at me. I kicked her off about halfway through the season, but she'll get over it one of these days. There's been so many,
Yeah, I just didn't know if there were one or two that you look back and go, wonder what they're doing now. Or you've run into them somewhere and they're doing well like you thought they would.
Yeah, well, everybody has their own different kind of journey and things. I think the one that I look back on now and go, what the hell is Morgan Wallen? He was on the show. He wasn't even on my team. He was on Adam's team. The whole thing just seemed screwed up. It's like he was on the show, but he was on Adam's team, and he didn't even get through the battles. And now here he is having these gigantic, huge number one hits in country music, and I can't take any of the credit. It pisses me off, It's like, man, I had him right there, and he got away. But the one that I tell you, the artist that I look back on that I still is probably my favorite person to, and I say this knowing that I'm going to hear some crap about it from them all, but my favorite, I think, as far as the entire journey goes, was Danielle Bradbery, because you could literally, that girl, she had never even sang in public before. Like, she was just this shy 15 or 16-year-old girl that I would go, hey, Danielle, what do you want to sing this week? She's, I don't know. I said, well, how about this Pam Tillis song? Okay. And she would just go out and literally slay the entire building every week. Like, it's not that often that it's so obvious who's going to win the show that everybody just goes, well, fuck. But Danielle, that season, it was just like this little girl that was just smiling and didn't even know. I remember that season, we were getting to the finale, and I asked if she would come over to the house with her mom and dad, and they all came over, and it was her mom and her husband and her dad and his wife. So she had 4 parents there and her, and I said, hey, we need to talk about something, because she's just a kid, and is this even what you want to do with your life, Danielle? Because it was just on a whim that they even auditioned for the show. And I remember we had this conversation, and her parents, everybody, and even Danielle was like, I don't know if this
Well,
is
great
what I want to
intuition
do.
on your part, though.
Well, I just was
to
thinking
see that.
Yeah, it was just like, it's not like she had been out pursuing this forever. It just kind of fell in her lap and found out in front of the nation that she was this incredible vocalist, and it's like, well, she may have just done that for fun, for something to do for the summer and win some money and put a trophy on the shelf and then go off to college or whatever, because I don't think anybody in the mix expected that to happen, Of course, we all wanted her to pursue this, and thank God she did, but that was a crazy, crazy season with her.
We'll open it up to questions. We have microphones for those of you who we'll start right down front here.
Man, you always just ride in there with a question.
Questions galore. Well, I want to know, Gwen is going to be leaving next season, and you are bringing in, or not you, but they are bringing in Nick Jonas. So can you talk about, have you spent time with him outside? Do you have a relationship with him? And what are your thoughts on him coming to the show?
The only relationship that I had with Nick, we were both voices in the Ugly Dolls movie. So I ran into him at the premiere and said hi. And I had seen him at things like that before and said hi or whatever. He's always a super nice guy. I actually knew Joe Jonas a little bit better than I knew Nick. But all those guys are just great guys. And so when I heard that Nick was coming in, I was excited because I know that he's a pro and he works hard, and that's what you can't have somebody as a coach on that show it can't be a team player, and I knew he would be that, and of course he's also Nick Jonas, so it was a great. I was actually shocked that they were able to get him, because those guys are so busy and hot right now. But now we've already filmed the blind auditions for next season. So now I'm starting to hate the guy because I'm competing with him now. So he is a tough guy to go against. When you turn your chair around and there's a young person up there and they're trying to choose between me,
former sexiest man alive,
right? But they don't really react that way when they look at me. And then Nick Jonas sitting down there, I'm screwed almost every time. So yeah, he can kiss my ass.